Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing details. Today, we're discussing a stainless steel 300-piece limited edition from the 2009 model year, built for New York area Audemars Piguet boutiques, the Bal Harbour boutique in Florida, and most importantly, London Jewelers of Manhasset. This is the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore Montauk Highway, created to celebrate the conduit between New York City and the end zone of the South Fork of Long Island. It passes through the glorious Hamptons, the glamorous playplace of the rich. The timepiece is 42 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. It's 14.4 millimeters thick, and it is 54 millimeters from lug to lug, though if you count the intermediate links, the total distance across the wrist is a beefier 58.3 millimeters. So let's put this watch on my wrist where it belongs. And my wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference. Why do I have an attachment to this watch? Well, two reasons. First, I rode my bike many times down Montauk Highway, 120 miles each way between an uncle's house out in Montauk and my parents' house on the north shore of Long Island. And about 100 of those 120 miles were on Montauk Highway. Also, this watch was created as a special edition for London Jewelers in Manhasset, where I bought my first ever Jaeger LeCoultre, my first ever luxury watch that I purchased with my own money. And that shop in Manhasset is part of what's called the Miracle Mile of luxury shopping, which you'll recognize from the lyrics of It's Still Rock and Roll from Billy Joel. Are you gonna cruise the Miracle Mile? I did. Now, the watch on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist wears beautifully. It is big, make no mistake, and I would not wear it on a wrist much smaller than mine. I'm gonna go out and say that unless your wrist is 16 centimeters circumference or larger, this watch is gonna be too big for you because every Royal Oak Offshore wears bigger than its nominal size. It is not as thick as I expected, however. The strap is hornback alligator leather in brown with a blue stitch. And you can see these summery colors inspired by Montauk Highway and the colorful characters who line it. The beach houses, the hotels, the clam shacks, the lobster roll, all of that along Montauk Highway. We have the AP style, single fold, deployant clasp in steel. And this is hornback alligator, which means it has a particularly tough cut of leather. This is not the rectangular scale that you typically see on watch straps. This is a more rugged, more macho cut, and it has stiffness and structural integrity to match. It's going to take longer to break in, but it's a tougher cut of leather. It's going to last longer. And you can see it is a thick cut of leather with a sheer cut side and incredible depth to it. On the bottom, it is brown calfskin. And we have screws and bars fixing the strap to the case. So that is going to keep it secure. This is a pre-owned watch. There are some marks. Overall condition is very good. So you always want to see screws and bars fixing a strap to a case on an expensive and heavy watch like this pass. This one passed the test. Here we have nitrile covers for the chronograph pushers, as well as the shoulder in hexagonal form for the crown, screw-down crown. And we have 100 meters of water resistance. That hexagonal shoulder matches the shape of the bolts in the bezel. The hexagonal bolts in the octagonal bezel, a signature of every Royal Oak since the original, penned by Gerald Genta. The shape was inspired by a vintage diving helmet. Of course, the first Royal Oak Offshore came to market in 1993. The Offshore was an evolution of the original by young designer Emmanuel Guet. As you can see, the finishing is virtuoso, a combination of polish and satination. A big part of what you're paying for with these watches is the manual finishing of the case. You can see even down to the micro bevels on the crown guard structure, there is a lot of attention to detail here. In comparison to the original Royal Oak, the bezel gasket on the Offshore is larger and it's more of a styling element. It serves the same purpose of water resistance, but it's bigger. It's more rugged. It's almost like you're bringing the machine from the inside out. On traditional Royal Oak, it's just a barely visible sliver. Here it's a very visible part of the case styling. You can also see that there's a satin section to the bezel outboard, then a rounded polished section. Then we have a satinated bezel. It's vertically satinated. Note that's the bolt in steel. Conventional Royal Oaks have gold. Royal Oak Offshores use steel bolts, and they are recessed. That is key because Audemars Piguet will elect to replace these bezels, unless told explicitly not to, at a point where the bolts are either flush with the dial or stand proud of it. There's still plenty of recess here, which means this watch has been rarely, if ever, refinished. Now on the dial, we have lovely soft tones of summer, as you would experience them along Montauk Highway. Just to clarify any uncertainty about this model, there is no luminescence. It is a beautiful collection of lacquered pieces, but it does not glow. Outboard, we have a tachymeter scale, which can be used to gauge the speed of cars, such as a car along a kilometer. That is a racer's feature. Then inboard, we have a lovely off-white cream-colored mega tapisserie base. We have white gold applique Arabic numerals that are light blue lacquer filled. And then we have soft brown tones, much like the brush that lines the eastern end of Montauk Highway as you work your way through the Hamptons, down the Naphog stretch towards Montauk proper. We have baton-style hour and minute hands. And of course, this is a Dubois de Praz 3840 chronograph module. 3840 is AP's name for this module. Because it's a vertical clutch chronograph module, there is no stop or stagger as you move the chronograph into action. Some lateral clutches will jump, stop, and then start again because they have play. Vertical clutches have no play. Now, the module is atop the Audemars Piguet manufacturer base, which is why the pushers are slightly higher than the center of the crown. It's a modular stacked complication, and the base movement actually has the date on it, which is why you look down past the module at the date through the dial. The watch does include hacking or stop seconds, and it features a quick set date, so you can rapidly cycle the date. The reverse of the case echoes the bezel design, an octagon with bolts, and then Montauk Highway. You can see this is a limited edition, individually numbered out of 300. And underneath that case back, we have the Audemars Piguet hybrid movement. It's a modular combination of 3126, that's the Audemars Piguet base, and the 3840D801CR.01 module. The base movement uses ceramic rotor bearings and bidirectional winding to energize a 50 to 55 hour power reserve. It beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour. The compound movement has 59 joules, and it has a full balance bridge with a free sprung balance. The two features making this a very shock tolerant movement. And if you could see the rotor, you would see that it bears the coats of arms of the Audemars and Piguet families, reminding you that since 1875, Audemars Piguet is the oldest continuously family-owned and run watchmaker inside of Switzerland. If you too dream of Montauk and Montauk Highway, or like me, you spent a lot of time riding a bike on it, or if Long Island is just part of your history, perhaps family, perhaps vacation, perhaps it's a place you've been on business, the Montauk Highway is for you. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.